my job as mayor is to do a few things. One of them is, as I said, you have certain responsibilities with the police, whether you like it or not. Your job is to protect peace in the neighborhood and keep people from breaking into homes, whether you agree with their values or not. The second thing is to look at the core issues behind all this and try to solve those. So a couple of the core issues here is, one is I personally spent a lot of time on this and really got educated on the Cruzes being, in part, really stuck in a system that's not responding to people. That educated and motivated me to do much more at a national level to try to really get at this core thing. We've got to bring these lenders to the table to be more flexible. We have a huge problem with some lenders, and I would say this one, being extremely inflexible in situations. They've got national policies. I get policies, but the reality is, if you have a situation where you have someone who can pay the mortgage on a home, it's better than not. And what I think a lot of intense work over this past week has really taught me is that I need to be much more active, and I will be, with our Congressman Keith Ellison, with our Senator Al Franken, with other mayors who I'm meeting at the Mayor's Conference next week, on really looking at ways that more of these lenders can be brought to the table and get more flexibility. Because we as cities, Minneapolis and others, can't be expected to be the lightning rods for tough foreclosure practices that are often not responding to folks. The neighbors have a very rightful concern. Most, by the way, when you talk to them, the ones I have, are very sympathetic to the challenges of the foreclosure crisis. They don't want their neighborhood to be a staging ground for protests. They want peace in their neighborhood, and they deserve that. And my job as mayor is to do all the things that I've done this week and to intensely understand this case and foreclosure issues, but it's also to make sure a neighborhood has peace in it. And if somebody breaks into a house anywhere in Minneapolis and a 911 call is made, my responsibility as mayor is to have the police help prevent that break-in. Whether we like it or not, and in this case, I actually don't like it, the lender is in control of that property. And if somebody tears down boards, we may not like those boards there, but that's actually an offense that we have to have the police defend against. I've directed our police to fall back and only respond to something that is a criminal action. Taking boards off a house is that. Trespassing is that. So we have to, we're in a tough spot on all of that. My understanding is that the Cruzes are working with the bank, and my understanding is the bank isn't the issue, but the bank can't solve it. The bank needs Freddie Mac, and so that's where I stepped in. So I spent a lot of time last week, several hours, trying to get the last piece resolved, which is my understanding. And again, nobody has all the facts right here, but my understanding is that the challenge is with Freddie, and so that's where I've put my energy and a lot of it. And frankly, I'm disappointed in their response. And I was pretty clear with them about that. I think it's really important for us to recognize that the current situation with lenders isn't working like it needs to. It's putting cities in positions where we're spending huge amounts of police resources. It's taking strong members of neighborhoods and ripping them out and putting in people who may not be connected to the neighborhood. This situation isn't working. So I think, in this case, I think having the Cruz situation brought to us was helpful. I don't like it when people break the law, and I not only don't like it, I have to enforce the law when people break the law, and I will continue, and that's my job. And people can say crummy things about the mayor or something, but the worst thing to say about a mayor is that the mayor didn't try to protect the community. That's my job, and I'll continue to do it. I don't like it when people come into my office and try to disrupt that. That's not fair to the people who do work here. So I don't support those tactics. I very much support the idea of people coming forward with the idea of really calling attention to mortgages that are being questionably foreclosed on. If we can focus on the Cruzes and getting their situation solved, that, I think, is where it's going to be most beneficial. People have a right to protest. I've protested in lots of other places, and I also know from having been mayor and having been in protests that there's not one person directing everything, and different people have different views. But I, as mayor, will do what I am required to do and should do as a mayor to protect neighbors in a community from people breaking into a house that isn't theirs. That's simply the law. And that's not something that's about me having a value system or not. My job is to protect the law. So when I say we're not in the foreclosure business, in a perfect world, the lenders will work these things out, and that won't be our issue. But because of the rocky situation here, and frankly, I think some real inflexibility from the lender, we have a problem.